Hey, thanks for tuning in to Twang and Bang. If you saw my really recent review of the Benjamin Bulldog, it's a .357 caliber air gun, you saw this sight. I got a lot of people asking me what it is. I got a lot of people interested in learning about it because they knew what it is. The X sight is from ATN. It's a day-night digital optic for hunters that are on a budget. It's at a fraction of the price that you'd ordinarily pay to get a nighttime optic. It comes in two versions. The 3 to 12 power version you see here and the 5 to 18 power version you see here. And they're both what's coming up next on Twang and Bang. The ATN X-Sight is a digital day and night capable rifle scope available in a 3 to 12 power and 5 to 18 power variant sharing the same electronics. Built around an Obsidian core processor, the X-Sight behaves as much as a GPS-enabled video camera as it does a gun sight. In addition to allowing you to switch between day and night vision modes as needed, the X-Sight can record through scope video and take still photos for storage on a micro SD card. Under the same water-resistant cap as the micro SD slot, the X-Sight has micro USB and micro HDMI outputs for remote access and viewing, even in real time. The X-Sight also provides a digital compass and GPS geotagging to help with navigation, as well as to allow you to display where you've been on a map. Though I haven't used this feature myself yet, I could see how it could be handy when combined with aerial photos in determining where best to hunt your next time out. Rubber buttons with large, high-contrast labels give you access to all of the X-Sight's features and are laid out in a pattern that's easy to recognize through feel alone. ATN includes an 850 milliwatt infrared illuminator, which is necessary when ambient light drops below a certain point. It's adjustable for focus, brightness, and aim, and comes with an integrated toolless Picatinny mount. This is so you can mount it directly on the X-Sight's own Picatinny rail section or anywhere else you might have Picatinny on your weapon. The X-Sight is not an optical sight. You don't look through the X-Sight. You actually look at an 800 by 600 pixel video screen, much like the screen on a video camera. This is the secret to offering day and night capabilities for a small fraction of most other night scopes. It also makes the X-Sight truly parallax-free with an extremely generous eye box. So this is pretty cool. There's an app. You got Wi-Fi built into the X-Sight, which you don't want to run unless you're actually using the app because it drains the batteries faster than it usually does. But you have a couple options. You have a gallery, which allows you to preview. It takes a little bit to load the data, but I can play the video straight off of the camera. So you get a preview, and rather than wait for that to load, I mean, you get the idea. You also can go to a viewfinder, and this is the coolest thing for me because that is a live picture. There's a little bit of a lag, a fraction of a second lag, but as a dad with a daughter that wants to go hunting with me eventually, I'll be able to see what she's looking at and help her decide when to pull the trigger. And that's whether this is on a rifle, on an air rifle, on a crossbow. I'll be able to hunt right there alongside of her. And I think it would do a lot to give her confidence to pull the trigger. Because I know for a lot of new hunters, that's a big thing. They know they want to take the animal as humanely as possible. And this is the best way, I think, to make it happen and give young hunters the confidence. Also lets me know what's going on. Of course, we can be recording this at the same time right on the X-Sight. And then the other thing, of course, you can access all of the settings remotely. So same deal. If my daughter is doing the hunting and she's looking through and I need to change a setting, I can do it through the iPhone app. I think that that makes this a really, really cool tool for experienced hunters taking new hunters along for one of their first hunts. That extensive settings list is one of the best features of the X-Sight. Frequently used settings like camera mode, viewfinder brightness, and day-night mode are available with a double tap of the menu button. Other settings are too lengthy to list, but the best is the ability to customize the reticle. The X-Sight offers 3 different reticle styles and 3 different colors, including red and green illumination as well as black. This allows you to pick the reticle that best contrasts against your intended target. The zoom on the X-Sight is digital only. This means that image clarity is reduced by the factor of your zoom power. As this X-Sight recorded footage shows, details on your target will get grainy at maximum zoom, and it can be hard to see your hits. However, I don't really see that being a detriment to the intended purpose of hunting. The X-Sight features a cool version of a one-shot zero. Take one shot at your target, line up the reticle with your original point of aim, then move the reticle to the bullet's impact. A dot indexes your original point of aim, making adjustments very easy even without a stable support for your weapon. The X and Y coordinates shown also allow easy field adjustment of your zero for different types of ammo or known yardages. Though it might be called a one-shot zero, I'd never actually zero anything without printing at least a 3-shot group. The buttons are really easy to push, and they're really easy to find because it's a pattern that you can recognize. They're going to have different values, different effects depending on where you are in the menu. The one thing that is difficult to adjust is the focus. Because the lens has to be in front of the camera sensor, the focus is out here. And it's a very, very shallow depth of field. It's really cool when you're making videos with a regular digital camera. But it's not so good when you're trying to take aim at game that may be moving in its range from you as you're trying to make the shot. So through the scope, you can kind of see with low power, I've got it focused at 50, and you can see still basically what the target would be at 100. So that's not that big a deal. But when I zoom in, the lack of focus becomes more apparent. So I've got that focus at 50, it's fuzzed out at 100, and look, even just tabbing it, okay, that's at 100. I'm barely moving that focus, and it's going in and out of focus. And that's so that you can have quick focus when something you might be looking at a feeder that's 30 yards away, and then something comes in 100 yards away, you can get to it fast. But it's a lot less intuitive than maybe something back here or a side focus on most rifle scopes. So it's something you're going to have to adapt to. And it's just a technical challenge that I just don't see a way that they can overcome, because everything has to happen in front of this part of the optic. The X-Sight has 2 night modes, green and white. With the included IR illuminator, you get really good clarity out to about 75 yards before it starts to drop off. After playing around with a bunch of different combinations of reticles, display color, and zoom, I discovered 2 things. Number 1, to my eyes, green mode gives me a clearer picture, and I think that comes across in this split screen video. Number 2, night mode is where using the zoom really hurts you, as I think you see here, and you'll certainly see in the range footage coming next. For this reason, I recommend using these 2 scopes at their lowest power setting at night, limiting your hunting range to that in which you feel comfortable with your marksmanship. That should be the driving factor in your choice between a 3 to 12 power and the 5 to 18 power X-Sight. Knowing that, let's see if we can push the practical limits of the X-Sight as the sun goes down. I'm shooting the 5 to 18 power X-Sight on my 308 Remington 700 with a Liberty Suppressor's Victory and 168 grain Federal Premium Gold Medal match. It's already about 10 minutes past sundown, and I've got the aperture blown wide open on my video camera to gather the last bit of available light. These first shots are in the X-Sight's daylight mode. Oh, that sounded nice. Let's try that popper. No problem. Okay, let's try 300 yards. Now, one of the problems I have is this is zeroed at 100, and so I'm gonna have to do Kentucky windage to hit this. I'm just gonna hold top edge of that hanger. Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay. So I'm going to kind of build a hold off of that. That worked great. Okay. Now let's see what night mode looks like 40 minutes later after the twilight is gone. Okay. That's with illumination. That's without. Wow, so it can adjust. Almost looks like a ghost. Boy, that's creepy, man. Let's get that lit up again. Okay. So that's 200 yards. And that's a little popper. Let's give that a shot. Wow, so the shot itself blew out the view. There we go. I think that's the illumination off of the smoke. Alright, so there's 1, 2, 3. Let's try this again. Alright, so now I'm going to turn the illumination off. That is definitely creepy. Let's see if I can hit it. That's no illumination right there. Okay, got it. It's neat to see the hit. You could see it flare up. Let's try green. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so I've definitely lost sight of that popper. I can't see it anymore. It's over there somewhere. That's 200 yards. And that's with the illuminator on. That's my hand covering it. Yeah, it's done. It can't adjust. It needs the illumination. And so that's kind of the limit. You know, at 200 yards, you're going to be able to see a reflective target. With green, it's definitely, for my eye, it's definitely better. Let's hit this one. I think that's it. We're done. That's pretty cool. At this point, the only source of light I have is the screen on this X-Sight. It's pitch black, but I could still hunt hogs or predators out to 100 yards very easily, with 200 yards probably being the max using the included illuminator. Others that I know who hunt with X-Sight say that they can do even better with bigger or additional IR illuminators. You can find good ones for under $100 from places like Amazon.com.
Yep, so it's pitch black. Now, I need my headlights to pack up. I think in order to fairly evaluate the X-Sight, you really have to look at it at its price, where it falls in the marketplace. MSRP for each of these is a fraction of what you'd ordinarily have to pay to get a nighttime optic. But you also get a daytime optic. Most nighttime optics do not have a daytime mode. You have to take that optic off and put a regular day scope on, or you have to use some kind of intensifier tube in front of a regular optic. But this gives you both in one optic. It gives you the ability to record your hunt right through it or view it remotely, which that to me is a really, really cool feature. And I talked about me being able to watch my daughter while she's hunting, but I realized it actually would be just as cool the other way around with a new hunter, where I'm the one putting the scope up on an animal and showing her, here's where the crosshairs need to be. Like if you're hunting on a feeder or a field where deer are just ambling around, you could do that and say, here's where it needs to be when you pull the trigger, and then hand the rifle or the crossbow or whatever over to the new hunter. That's really cool. Of course, in order to get the X-Sight at the price, ATN had to make some compromises. I already mentioned two of them, the digital zoom and the flat depth of field of the focus. But the biggest compromise that they had to make, and it's in the manual, it's all that I'm about to tell you is in the manual, is that the electronics suck battery power. They're actually even parasitic. By that I mean it will drain batteries even when it's off. When you have the optic on, it's going to go through batteries in a matter of hours. So you might need 2 sets of lithium batteries to get through a day of hunting if you're going to leave the X-Sight on the whole time, which is something you might want to do because the boot time is 20 seconds or so. I didn't time it, but it's a lot longer than I'd be comfortable with in a situation where a deer might be coming down a trail and then you have to make a decision to shoot really, really quickly. But if you're, again, hunting over a feeder, that might not be so bad to turn it off when nothing's in front of you and turn it on when you see game start coming in. But the other thing is, even when off, you have about a week's worth of time before this will eat through a set of batteries. There are two workarounds. First of all, when I put batteries in the X-Sight, I have the cover very, very loose on there so that the batteries don't make contact. And that seems to have worked very well for me over the couple months that I've been testing these. The other thing is that it has an external USB power option. And you can plug in something like this Dark Energy Poseidon device charger, which I've reviewed. It's a ruggedized device charger. It would actually be a perfect thing to take in the field for hunting with an X-Sight. And it will power this for well more than one day of hunting because this is such a big battery. And then you can recharge this overnight to make sure you have a full charge every day. And that way you're not chewing through batteries that you have to buy. But of course, this is something that would only be practical if you were sitting still while you were hunting and you were out of the rain. It's a fair weather solution nonetheless. But you get a lot of function for a very, very good MSRP, and it'll be up to you to decide whether or not the compromises are worth the function that you get. If you want to learn more about the X-Sights, be sure to click the link in the video description below. Check me out at these links here to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and be sure to click right here to subscribe so you can see my next videos on bows, guns, and other cool stuff. I really appreciate you watching Twang and Bang, and I hope to see you next time.